Stéphanie Szostak, welcome to Paper Napkin Wisdom. I'm excited to be sitting with you today.
Me too, Govindh. Very excited.
Yes. So we come to each other through a mutual friend and a Paper Napkin Wisdom contributor. His name is John O'Leary. He aired a wonderful episode many years ago and introduced the two of us. He said that you are a magical person, and that was his introduction to you. And I'm thrilled to be with you and discover your magic. You shared a fascinating napkin with me. I dare to go after my truth with love and humor. Why did you share that with me?
Well, that's my life. First of all, John is magic. So I had to say that. I don't know if I have magic, but John certainly has. And he's inspired my family a lot over the years. I shared this because it's my life philosophy. And this was an exercise that I was given to create your own life philosophy when I took a mindset course by Dr. Michael Gervais, who's a sports psychologist, and he did a course with Coach Pete Carroll. And one of the exercises, what is your life philosophy? And your life philosophy should be just one sentence. It could be even boiled down to one word, and which is basically your moral compass. And when you're in a situation where you have to make a decision, or where you're in a situation where the ground underneath is not stable, what is that one thing that will make you feel anchored into the who you are? And it took a while to figure it out, but my one word, if there is a word, would be truth, which is in there. I dare to go after my truth. And to me that means just being authentic, being knowing my boundaries, knowing my life passion, being able to say when I don't know something, having the courage to say, I don't know, I don't understand what you're talking about, just being vulnerable, disagreeing, with people, just being truthful. And I guess this is my one word because it's the thing that I was challenged with the most growing up, and up till I would say my 40s, when I was in an environment that wasn't something familiar. I struggled with being my authentic self without really knowing, but I was really worried about what other people were thinking, especially as an actress on set. Was I good enough? What did the director think? What did the other actors think? And that really eventually caught up to me and ended up impacting not only my work, but also my well-being. So that is my one word. Truth.
It's a big word. I love how, first of all, thank you for being so vulnerable to share that it was something that you struggled with until recently. Like it was something that you challenged that you were challenged by. How did that show up? I mean, you said that you weren't aware of it at the time. So how did it show up looking back at it now?
Well, it showed up with anxiety. I was never diagnosed with anxiety, but it was, physically, my heart was beating so much. My legs were shaking so much so that I couldn't think right. I wasn't aware of it because I thought, oh my gosh, I can't handle the pressure. I competed, I was a collegiate golfer, so I played Division 1 golf. And feeling like this on a big movie set made me really angry because I was like, what the heck? I'm a competitor. I'm an athlete. Why can't I handle the pressure? And all the techniques that I would use competing in golf didn't work. And those techniques were really just trash talking myself to myself. Come on, get it together, you piece of crap. Like, let's go. And that worked for many years in my life, and until it didn't. Um, so that's how it manifested itself, and eventually it led me on this path of personal growth, for lack of a better word, and that started with self-discovery. And I understood then that I wasn't able, I didn't even know who I was. So how could I be authentic on a movie set? I was, my whole self-worth was linked to my career success, to validation, to what other people thought. I didn't have my own standards for success in quote, outside of results or outcome or performance
So,
identity, I guess it would be called.
I mean, this is a crazy question. And the way that you just said that, it almost made me think, like, did you even enjoy it when you were doing it? Because if you didn't have your standards and you were sort of didn't know who you were, was it sort of like this even thing where you didn't even enjoy the process because you were trash
Yeah,
talking yourself?
I love this question. Well, I did, for the first 10 years of my career, and I started at 29, really late in the game. I was a complete underdog. Like my friends were like, "What the heck are you doing? You think you're going to end up in Hollywood?" And so when people don't before, when people didn't believe in me, it actually drove me. And I enjoyed it up like for the first 10 years because it was I had everything. I was just proving myself, and it was on a smaller setting, independent movies, and I was totally free in the process. But once I made it on this big stage, which for me, this my big lead role was on a Paramount movie with Steve Carell and Paul Rudd. The movie was called Dinner for Schmucks. And all of a sudden, I had gotten yeses. Yes, from a big director, Jay Roach, who said, "We're going to take a chance on this woman who nobody knows." I got on this set and everybody was like, "Oh my God, so exciting. You're going to be this, you're going to be that." And all these yeses that made me really nervous. And no, I was not enjoying it at all on that movie because I was petrified, paralyzed.
Yeah. And I find it such an interesting contrast because like golf is so you have to calm your body to make the putt. You have to calm your mind. And you almost agitated yourself into performing. That was your hook, right? Trash talking yourself into doing it. And you learned later how to calm yourself or to accept
Yes.
yourself. Am I missing that? Or am I
No, you're right. And I think that's probably why I didn't, I was a 5 handicap in golf, which is good, but it's not great. And that's probably why I wasn't so good. My mental game wasn't great. It was
Mhm.
good enough to play college golf, but yeah, trash talking yourself is not it's not sustainable. You have to have compassion for yourself. You have to uh, know that you're going to have bad days. And what are you doing on those bad days?
Right.
When you can't connect, you have to have something to fall back on.
I think it's really incredible that you were, I mean, by every measure, you are a peak performer in golf. You were in the upper echelon, D1 athlete in golf before now being, a well-known actor in major productions, in several productions. Dinner for Schmucks is an amazing movie. Million Little Things, which is where I met you the first time. Of course, not really met you, but I feel like I got to know your character um, at that time. So, you, but you got to see what the difference was between forcing yourself to be good at something or forcing yourself to pursue something and actually accepting yourself and going even further because of that, right? Is that so
Mhm.
with that in mind, I just wanted to think about what what does it mean for someone to get that extra 1%? Is it about less or is it about more? And it feels like
Less.
it's
Well,
about less, right? No, it's about
well,
less.
well, I think it is about less, meaning letting go, right? You have
Yeah.
to be able to reach that space to let go. But in order for me at least, to have the trust to let go, um, I have to also know that I've done the work, that I'm prepared, that I have tools to manage my thoughts and emotions, that I know who I am. I gain self-awareness. So I would say it's about first doing, you have to do, I remember when I started doing the work, people would say, "You have to do the work." And I was like, "What the frick is doing the work?" And well, you have to do the self-discovery. You have to find out what works for you. And there's so many tools out there and figure out what those tools are for you. What areas are important in your life? And then you can let go and you can play and you can be free and
Man,
connect truly with authenticity.
I love the way you just lit up when you started talking about you can let go and you can play. Like your nose is doing this little scrunched up thing. You're just like it's almost like you are playing. It's you're on the playground. So you say, I want to go back to the exercise that you were challenged with to discover your life philosophy, right? You say you were challenged with discovering it, and you use the word challenged over and over again. So I know somebody challenged you to do it, but how challenging was it for you to find that place inside of you, find this truth, find this philosophy?
Well, once I had the guidelines to do it, it wasn't I had done a lot of work before that. And so once I had the guidelines, which were go back to your childhood. What did you love as a child? Go back to some of your greatest achievements. What are some of your strengths, the things you've survived? Are you a risk taker? Are you not? What are the songs you love? What are some of the lyrics that light you up? All of a sudden I started having all these little pieces of puzzle, and then it was like, oh, this is what I'm about. For me, this is this one thing. If I feel, and this is not a recipe for everyone, but for me, if I feel truthful, then I'm fine. I'll be okay.
I love that. So why was the beginning of your sentence, your paper napkin, I dare to go after? Why is it a daring task?
Dare, because I want to give myself courage. And a lot of times we are in situations always in our life where we are beginners, where we don't know, where we're in uncharted, you know, territories. And for me, I can easily in those moments become very timid, doubtful. I'm very humble, which is good, but sometimes it's too much. And then I stifle myself. So it's like, dare to raise your hand and say, I don't know, wait, let me explain this to me. Dare to um, write a book at 50 years old, dare to start speaking at my age, which I had never done and would have never done. So daring is having courage. I dare to go after my truth, and going after it is also like this extra, you know.
Yeah, there's an
Uh,
action to it, right? It's not dare to
yeah,
think about it, dare to feel about
no,
it.
it's
No, it's
and get after it. Like, I think I was growing up, I was very much of the good girl, and I had an older brother who struggled with drug addiction and was a heroin addict. I adored my brother. He was my hero. He was so unique. He saw the world in very different ways. He was a rebel, but he caused a lot of chaos. And so I think I was like, okay, I'm going to do the good thing, the right thing. And so now it's like, oh, dare to rock the boat.
yeah. And the courage not to know. I think that a lot of people feel very timid and shy and nervous about being surrounded by a situation. And think about your situation. You got into acting later. You got into authoring, writing later. You got into speaking later. So all these things you did later, and some people would be intimidated into being silent in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like that's
Yes.
what where you went.
No. And actually, you told me about your son who was sick with meningitis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you a story. When my firstborn son was 4 years old, uh, he got really sick. He had a lymph node that was the size of a golf ball, and our pediatrician, after a couple of weeks of this, sent us to an ENT specialist. And when we got there, the ENT specialist says he has an infection of the lymph node. We need to operate immediately. Let's go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and it was Friday afternoon, and it was too late to operate. So he scheduled surgery for Monday morning. As the ENT specialist left, I ran up to him and I said, I'm sorry, I just want to ask you how sure are you that this is what's wrong with my son? And he looked at me annoyed and went, your son is sick, but he doesn't have meningitis like some of the kids on this floor. He'll be just fine. And he turned around and walked away. And I remember thinking, that's not what I asked you. But he completely dismissed me. But, daring to go after your truth, I dared to ask him that. The next morning, my son's condition got worse. And then I called the pediatrician who I loved. And I asked her, does this diagnosis make sense? And she said, it does. But, we never know. So you and your husband keep an eye on him and you call me if anything really changes and you just see something. And then Sunday morning, Max started vomiting nonstop. He was so swollen all over that he couldn't see. He's had rashes all over his body. His skin started peeling off on his hand and his stomach. And so I called the pediatrician. She came immediately. She took one look at him and then she left and came back with an infectious disease doctor. And then they diagnosed him with Kawasaki disease, which is an acute infectious disease. And they started treating him and he improved almost instantly and then fully recovered. But had they not diagnosed him on that day, he could have had permanent heart or liver damage. And he didn't have an infection of the lymph node. He didn't need to have surgery on Monday morning. So that is also an example. It's not just in our professional lives, but also in our personal lives. I know nothing about medicine, but I had something inside of me that was like, this is not what's wrong with him. I call it, they say mothers have an instinct on these things. And so that is also something I remember about having the courage to just
And it
speak your
sounds
truth.
like, yeah, and not only, and this is the next part of it, I think that's really important, to going after your truth, but with love. Like you weren't cruel about the way that you were asking questions. You were going after it, but you were doing it with love for your son, Max, and not in a dismissive way of the expertise around you, but
Not at
soliciting
all.
more of it. In fact, you were asking for it. And I think people forget that. People think that going after it means being aggressive and being
No.
rude.
Compassion, curiosity. This is also how we grow as human beings when, it's so easy to have a conversation with someone and right away see, oh, we're on different, we don't see the world the same way. So I'm not going to ask a question or and challenging. I don't mean in a aggressive way, but I just mean like, I don't see it like this. Can you tell me more about this? This is so, especially in this day and age, it's so easy to judge people who have different opinions. And I think we can all use a little compassion and curiosity and empathy, trying to put ourselves in each other's shoes. So, and the love is also not only, it's also for myself to remember, like, to have compassion and grace when I don't do things well and when I lose my temper with my son, my other son, who's 18.
Oh, 18-year-olds. That's a whole
Yeah.
other episode, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I love, so the other thing that I think people say about humor is that they have to be funny. I don't think that that's what you're saying. I don't think you're saying you have to be funny. I think that you're finding joy in every moment. Am I missing that? Because you just got so much beautiful, positive energy. And that comes out, that joy comes out in laughter. Is that the kind of humor you're talking about?
No, well, for me, I can get, when things don't go well, I can get very serious. Or when I'm passionate about something, about work, I can get very serious and dive in. And so it's really a reminder for me to not take myself too seriously. Take time to joke around, really joke around. I like to joke, not to be funny, but the lightness of things. So it's a reminder for me to not take myself or life too seriously. The joy thing, I think that's kind of who I am naturally, this sort of lightness, which for a long time I was like, oh my God, I mean, I had an acting teacher who said to me, why are you smiling? You think what I'm saying to you is funny, as she was destroying me, which was a very good awareness thing too. It was more nerves, but yeah, the joy I think is a natural thing. I'm mostly a happy person.
That's great. But I like this. So your philosophy, in addition to being core to who you are, right? You had to discover this, you went through a process to do this, but it's also a reminder, and you use it as a reminder. Every word is there for a reason and for a purpose. Am I wrong in that? This is a
No,
reminder.
that exactly. It's a reminder because if I don't remind myself, I I go the other way. I can
Yeah,
easily slip into not being courageous, not being authentic, being too serious, being judgmental of myself and others. And I'm not tired. We all do that. We all
yeah,
can have the best of us ourselves and the worst of ourselves. So
for
those are
sure.
all things that are challenging to me, or were, and they still are. But my life philosophy has become an anchor into how I want to show up.
I love how you're making it a reminder, right? It's not. So I think some people say, "Oh, well, I wish I were more courageous. I wish I were more truthful. I were more loving. I were more, I brought more levity to myself. I didn't take myself so seriously." And they think of those things as aspirational, and as a result, they don't make them part of their philosophy. But you're doing quite the opposite. You're saying, no, no, they're there, but sometimes I go this way, and this is a good reminder for me to remember this part of me too in these
Mhm.
points of pressure. Is am I right in reading it that way?
Yes, reminders are a huge part of my life. I also was at the wishing part. That's the beginning when we're like, I'm here and I feel stuck and I want to be more of this. And then the next part is, how do I do this? What I found was the how I discovered by reading books, listening to podcasts, uh, therapy, um, and but I got all this amazing stuff that I was like, oh my God, yes, this is how I want to show up in life now. And then you forget. That is the hardest thing. So I actually created, and this is the whole thing of my book, Selfish, and the app that I'm creating, a playbook for myself on my phone, which has all the inspiration, motivation, guidance, wisdom that helps me in life. And it's a reminder. I start every morning with it, and it's a reminder of what helps me think better, feel better, and do better. And they're all individual reminders. I'm not going to connect to every reminder every day, but we wake up every day feeling different, and something's going to pop every day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I needed that today.
Yeah, and I wanted to get to selfish because that itself was a journey for you to even express in that way. That let's talk about the journey of selfish in writing that book. Selfish sounds like it's one thing, but I think that you very cleverly made it about a lot of different things, including, you know, following your own philosophy, understanding what that is first, and living it every day. How hard was that for you to articulate that way? How hard was it for you to be selfish and create this for yourself and remind yourself about this and create these rituals for yourself?
It wasn't hard. It was out of, and it's spelled selfish with, instead of having an I, it's an exclamation point with a little crown over it, which kind of represents this is who you are. It's called selfish because I think it takes time to discover who you are, to do the work, and then it also takes time every single day to, if we want to live with intention. If we want to, we all get in ruts. It takes time to get back to our center. So, if there's one thing that I would hope is that each one of us could every day reconnect to the best of who they are. That's
Mhm.
my wish. It wasn't hard for me because it was really a necessity. And I realized that if I took just 3 minutes, I do a lot of other things. There's no magic pill. I meditate, I read, but I also watch my playbook every morning, and it takes 3 minutes. And I do all this stuff before I connect to the news, the emails, the texts. And that helps. I found it's a game changer. It helps me respond to all the noise better, and it also helps make good thinking habitual thinking. It's just little things, and I started doing this 7 years ago, and it's eventually amounted to quite, substantial progress.
That's amazing. And do you feel like you say that you do this every day? Is it every day, or is there some days where you just don't do it?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
That's great. I believe that
When
there
I
is no
drink my
day.
coffee, I
Yeah.
drink my coffee and I read a page of the Daily Stoic, Ryan Holiday's book, and
Yeah.
then I watch my playbook.
That's awesome. I believe there's never a day off from, success is rented. It's not owned, and you pay the rent every day with the things that you do, the habits that you have. And I think it's really neat that you've taken your athletic past, your ability to be able to be regular about things and brought it forward in all parts of your life. And I think that, do you ever find that 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 you have been able to inspire other people by connecting to them in all these different ways, because you've had so many different journeys, right? You've had your journey as a D1 athlete, you've had your journey as an actress that started late in life, you an author also starting later in life. Are those opportunities for you to connect with people more easily now, or how do you find that?
Oh, yes, I think so. I think, I just was at William and Mary where I went to school and met with the golf team there. Just being able to say I too was a collegiate golfer, but um, for sure, yeah, all those different experiences help you connect with others. In the end, I think though, no matter what our journeys are, we all go through struggles, we all have setbacks, we all are challenged in our relationships, our work, our personal lives. So when we share our story, even if the circumstances are different, I think it resonates, because we all have the same, the same goals eventually. Not goals, but aspirations to have love and belonging and
Yeah.
connections.
How has your journey inspired your kids, your family, as you've gone
I don't
through
know.
this and discovered?
You have to ask them.
No, I'm sure you've seen it with your kids a little bit. Maybe not.
Well, like I have a
18-year-old's tough.
yeah, 18-year-old, and then the other one's a senior in college, and he actually he started an Instagram account about the draft. It's called, I'm going to plug it, the Draft Geek. And he does all the visuals and all the analysis. He is studying sports management, which is his passion. And so in a way I was like, huh, look at that. He actually, my husband pointed it out. He was, look, he's following what he loves. He's creating like this unique thing that's visual, and you created the playbook that's visual. So maybe
Yeah, I think
I
it's great.
hope, yeah, yeah.
I think that's amazing. Do you have the other thing about the philosophy that I just want to ask you about is your philosophy and your playbook. It sounds like you remind yourself in the same sort of instance around that time about your philosophy every day. Is that correct? That's the right timing for you to bring your philosophy back into your conscious mind in the morning?
Yes, my philosophy is actually in my playbook. It's written out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, it's in my playbook, just so it's clear, because it's a weird concept. Um, but in my playbook is a combination of tools that, like my life philosophy, skills that I want to sharpen, my values, past memories that bring me joy, things that make me laugh, some achievements that I'm proud of, visions for the future. So it's almost a big picture of my whole life. And by the time I'm done, I'm reminded of what my truth is, of what matters, and what helps me go after it. And I hit play, and there's music that goes with it too. So it's a whole emotional, sensory kind of 3-minute little trip that reminds you of what's important for your life. It's completely personal to you, unique to you.
And we're going to put in the show notes links to the app when it becomes available, and certainly to the book as well, where people can learn more about that idea.
The app is available in beta.
Oh, it
So
is. Okay, great.
not in the app store, but yeah, with in the website, selfishplaybook.com, you can request it in beta. It's free. So it's not perfect, but you can use it.
That's great. So we'll make sure that that's in the show notes for everybody to see. I want to thank you so much, Stéphanie, for sharing. Merci beaucoup for coming.
Merci.
Oui, je parle un peu
Tu parles
français.
français?
Oui, parce que j'habite en Ottawa, en Canada, et on apprend le français en école. Et j'ai participé à un échange en guerre quand j'avais 13 ans. Alors, on a parlé français pour un mois, et oui, on a venu ici à parler anglais, mais on a parlé français pour 2 mois.
Bravo. I wish I could speak in Indian, in Hindi, or
I wish I could speak Hindi too, but I can't.
Oh, you can't speak Hindi. Okay.
I can speak French though.
Yeah, that was good.
All right. Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed our conversation a lot.
Me too.